Okay, welcome back. And we are on lab 3 of our Texas Natural Resources project. Now, before you do anything, before you start just opening up the software and things like that, I want you to make sure your OneDrive is syncing. I had paused it for a second. And I want you to go over to your project folder, okay, the root folder. You should have an NRM 3300 folder, okay, and inside of that you should have your 3300 project 1 project. Okay, so let's double click on that guy and make sure you have all green check marks here. Okay, now this guy here is, let me see, for some reason you can get these green circles that are a bit white inside instead of pure green. There's a lot of different icons here. Don't worry about this one. As long as you have your green check marks, and if you have one or two of those, to be honest, I've looked into this and I'm not sure exactly what it means. But the reason I'm showing you this is that it is very, very important that you don't see the cloud icon, okay? Because that means your data is still on a Microsoft server somewhere, and ArcGIS Pro cannot work with your project unless the data has been downloaded to your computer, to your hard drive, your local hard drive. Okay, so if you're on a school computer, especially, and you have to set up OneDrive each time, take the time before you open up your project to make sure that the data has been able to download. And a good rule of thumb is don't open the software, open the project once you see all of this, and then that will open the software for you. Okay, so this .aprx file is your root project file. So we're just going to double click on that, and again, it'll open the software and our project. Okay, so in this mini section, we are going to add, symbolize, and name the cities in Texas, okay? Let's get rid of this base map, the world topo map. So right click on this fella and just thank you for your service, but we want to work with a clean map here, okay? And so fortunately, we already have the data in our project. So if you open up your folders, this is in the catalog pane under project. And if you twirl open your folders and then open up this folder, under boundaries, these are great data sets from the USGS because not only do they have the state, well, they have the entire country. Sometimes they'll have international lines because Texas borders Mexico, okay? But they also have counties and incorporated places, okay? So let's add counties first. We may not use it, but I want to put that in there, okay? So I want you to gently double click or single click on the name of that layer, and we're going to call this Texas Counties. Okay, now all of the 256 counties, and it just blows my mind that Texas is that big. My parents have retired to a state called Delaware, and they have 3 counties. Okay, so it'd be like this. Okay, so all of our Texas counties are being symbolized with this solid green fill, and we definitely want to modify that. So let's click on that. That opens up our symbology pane, and let's just choose this dashed black outline that's in there. Okay, and that is good. Okay, so let's come back to our catalog. You can click on this tab down here. And now we're going to add our towns and cities, okay? And they call these GU as government unit incorporated places, okay? So we are going to hold down the left mouse button and we're going to put this under our counties layer, okay? Because we want to work in this hierarchy, okay? Texas and then the counties and then the incorporated places. Okay, now let's click on this symbol, and for some reason they don't exactly have they have everything in here: park, cemetery, culture, but there's really nothing for a city, and maybe that's because people just symbolize it different ways. Okay, for now we're going to choose this healthcare or health medical symbol. Okay, oftentimes you're going to see your city symbolized with this red color. Okay, we do not need all of these cities, all right? I love the little towns of Texas. I've driven all over the state, but the focus of our map is on natural resources, okay? Not cultural and governmental boundaries. But we want to put the major cities in here so people have an idea of where they are when they're looking at your map. Okay, now let's again click on this. We're just going to call this Texas cities. Okay, now right click on this fella and choose attribute table. Okay, this is important. This attribute table is all of the information that is embedded in this feature class. Okay, your features are all of your little incorporated places, and some of them not so little, like Houston. Okay, remember when we made our Meet Your Classmates map? You guys were the features. Okay, and then remember you added those great photos and cool things about you. Okay, those were attributes to yourself as the feature. So it's the same thing here. The cities are the feature. The incorporated places are the features, and then all of this data here, these are the attributes that go with these features. All right, and it'll make sense as you work more and more in GIS. And let's just break that down, because in this class, I don't want these labs to simply be you following a recipe, because you're not going to learn the software that way. You're not going to really become a power user if you're just following a quick recipe and getting an assignment done. And that's why I have you take those notes. I know some of you probably hate that, but I can't tell you, having a PhD, that I got over a decade ago, the things I remember were the things I wrote down. And then I elaborated on that later. And I want you to learn this software program. Okay, so write this down. GIS, Geographic Information Systems, is taking information. Okay, all of this was compiled painstakingly by the U.S. Census Bureau. I mean, these guys literally go door to door. I mean, they didn't the last time because of COVID, but normally they hire like 1 million people, and they go out and they get the best data possible. Okay, so all of this data is gathered by this government agency, And they have all of these attributes to go with the data, okay? The information, that's the I in GIS. So they have the square kilometers, the population, that's a huge one, the area, all of that, the name, of course, okay? And what is so powerful about GIS is people are visual animals, okay? We work really well analyzing data, finding patterns when we can see that data in a visual format. And the brilliance of this software is not only are we visualizing the data, we're visualizing it on a map so people can draw even more connections and more conclusions. And this is very powerful for so many industries, but especially for natural resources. And in fact, that's how GIS started back in the 1970s, was people, the country of Canada and Harvard University wanted a way to represent natural resources on a map. Okay? So you have your G for geography, I for information, and then S is system, okay, which is this whole apparatus, this computer. Okay. All right. So moving forward, what I want to do is cherry pick out a few key cities here just to make our map user friendly. So we are going to go to population. Okay. So let's come to this column and we're going to right click and we are going to sort descending. So that's going to put the biggest cities on the top. Okay. So we're going to choose Houston, and see Houston is selected now. If you click on this one here, you're going to see the data, the information, and the geography are tied together. Okay. So there's Houston. Hold down your control button. We're going to choose San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, El Paso. Now we're going to skip Arlington because this just becomes a mess when we start naming these different cities. Okay, and we will we'll grab into Corpus Christi. Wow, I didn't know it was that big. Again, we're going to skip Plano because we'll just have too many names there. We're going to grab Lubbock, you betcha. And then we're going to this whole, gosh, I'm so glad I don't live in the DFW anymore. Let's grab ammo. And again, this is to give people just an idea of where they are in the city, in the state, okay? And I think that looks pretty good. So we have all of these features selected, and we're going to come over here to Texas cities, and we're going to right click, and we're going to come down to data, and we're going to export these features. Okay, and let's so the input feature is Texas cities. Okay, that's what we named it. All right, now what I'd like you to do here is just leave everything alone and hit OK. All right, boom. All right, good to go. Now, let's close out of our attribute table. And then to deselect these guys, I want you to come up to Edit. And I want you to come to the selection area and just hit Clear. All right, now we can right click on all of the cities and choose Remove. Okay, and let's pause here for a second and hold down Control and tap S because we've been doing quite a bit of work. Okay, let's go to our catalog with this tab down here. Okay, and I want you to open up the database for this project. Okay, great. Now let's remove this guy, and over here gently double click, and let's get rid of that. And we cannot we can't have a space over here. Okay, so just get rid of that tail end. And now I want you to hold down your left mouse button and put it under counties. And then you guys know the routine. Let's click on the symbol. We're going to come down to health. Boom. Okay. And to finish this mini section off, click on cities again. Now note that you actually have new tabs that have appeared, and that's because you have this layer selected. And Pro is saying, hey, here's some extra things you can do with that layer. So you might want to check these tabs out. Any tabs to the right of the help tab are specific to the layer you selected. And so what we want to do is label. Now, before you start labeling, because labeling is it's not computationally intensive, it just takes a long time for the computer to draw the labels. All right. So you want to make sure you're labeling the right attribute. Okay, so we have our cities, and remember there was all kinds of attributes associated with the city features. So these, you could name your features by the shape area. We don't want to do that. We just want to choose place name. Okay, and turn on labeling. All right, so now this is important. Did you see that little, these two blue arrows going in a circle? That means your computer is currently drawing data, okay? Like literally drawing it on your screen, okay? Using the graphics card, okay? See it going again? So sometimes when it seems like everything's bogged down and you don't know what's going on, make sure you look at this little icon here and watch when I zoom in, okay? Sometimes that little guy can turn for quite a while, okay? So you just have to be patient. Okay, let's bump up our symbols to 12 point, okay? And then zoom out a bit, all right? And things look good, guys. This is our populated places. We also have our counties if we need them, okay? And what I'd like us to do now is hold down Shift and select all of these layers and right click, and we're going to group these together, and we're going to call these boundaries. Okay. And that way, you can turn them all off, okay? Or you can turn them all on with one click. And of course, if you want to choose which ones you want on and off, you just twirl it open. Okay, so let's hold down Control, hit S, and I will see you in the next mini section.